Hey Aptera fans, Chris here from marketing. Today we're doing a really cool new show called the Third Wheel Podcast. I'm here with Steve Fambro, the co-CEO and founder, and Richard, I don't even know your last name. What's your last name?
Fabini.
Richard Fabini, the director of engineering, right?
Yes.
Amazing. So this is a new monthly show where we're going to be interviewing different engineers, different zones, talking about what they're working on in more detail than we can get into in a normal video. So really excited to get into this. So Richard, tell me about your background, your history, and how you got to Aptera.
Sure. Well, it's been kind of a long, interesting career path for me. I actually started at Aptera back in college in 2007. A friend told me about this company, and I was instantly hooked. I was working on the super mileage vehicle team at UC Berkeley, and basically building a highly aerodynamic, ultra lightweight, efficient streamliner with 3 wheels. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, and so I had the opportunity after the Shell Eco Marathon one year to bring it down here in the back of a rental truck and knocked on the door and got to show Steve and Chris what we were up to, and then got to see all the new development that they were working on, which was like the actual real world application of what we'd been fiddling around with for 4 years in college. So yeah, that was very exciting. Came down after graduating, and Chris offered me a job, and I worked on battery mechanical design, powertrain design and release for basically all the powertrain components, the battery, the high voltage system, the motor. It was very exciting. Wow. And that culminated with a lot of simulation engineering, in fact, that was proven at the Argonne National Labs Advanced Powertrain Research Facility. And yeah, so I had a lot of fun here at Aptera 1.0 and went on and developed my career at 2 other electrified startups doing commercial vehicles for plug-in hybrids, and then fully electric vehicles at Echo Automotive and Via Motors, spanning controls engineering, systems engineering, and ultimately directing the research and development activity. And I stayed in loose contact with Steve, and it looked like the time was maybe right, and it really didn't take a whole lot of convincing to bring me back. I was super excited.
Maybe Jamie back in the control room could bring up an image of his car.
Yes.
I was sitting in my office, and I saw this moving van pull up and back up. And I'm thinking, like, we didn't order any furniture. We're not moving. What's going on?
Yeah.
And then someone tells me, hey, there's some kid out here who brought some car in the back of his moving van. And of course, I came out and met you, and we had read every book. At least Chris is a big reader, but every book on the Shell Eco Marathon cars, that we could find, and so we very much drew from that whole space. That, as with many endeavors, it's the university kids who are like leading the way. They're like pushing the boundary more than industry, and so we were already watching that space and then drawing from it heavily, and then to have Richard from Berkeley drive down unannounced, hopes of like bringing his resume in the back of the truck. It was great. It was the Aptera way. It was just like, go for it, do it, don't wait for permission, just do it. So
that's so cool. And then how did Richard get back? Did you just reach out to him?
I think I did. Maybe we stayed in contact on LinkedIn probably. Mm-hmm. And when when we started growing and having need for very specific folks, and I think I was following the parent company that he was working for. I thought, well, maybe it's a good time to reach out to him and see if he's interested in helping us out. And I think we should get a picture, maybe not only with Richard, but the other people from Aptera 1.0 that we've managed to bring back in, because it's not insignificant. It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think what we found is that they all feel like there's a bit of unfinished business to do, mm-hmm. and we all want to do it and finish it. So, but I think it was an easy conversation. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. That's great. What are you doing this time around?
So I'm working primarily on powertrain, including the electric drive machine and the vehicle control unit and the axles. And so that's really getting the top of my attention right now.
Very important stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It drives the vehicle.
Right. So, Steve, before we get to the drivetrain discussion, let's talk about transparency for a minute. I remember in the February update, you were saying, there's some changes up ahead. We can't share them just yet, but you wanted to inform people to the degree that you could at that time. What does transparency mean to you in Aptera, this company community?
Well, it means different things, I suppose. I was asked a similar question on a podcast or interview I did a couple of weeks ago, and I said I couldn't take credit for it. It was other people here really that helped build that culture of transparency, and that Chris and I do our best to uphold it and live up to it, and promulgate it through the company. So I think it means just being as honest and forthcoming as we can with our customers, with our shareholders, sharing as much information as we can when we can. Obviously, there's lots of things that may be company confidential, decisions about materials or suppliers or things like that. There's just some things that we have to be careful about when and how we share. But for the most part, we do our best to share everything that we can.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think about, the change from honeycomb to CTNS, or honeycomb to CPC.
Right.
From, hiring CTNS to help make the battery packs. I mean, these are, big, important changes, but, we announced them once they were, inked in, ready to be shared, which is, I think, the best we can do.
And a lot of times they come from maybe the overall business case has changed or the environment has changed. In the case of honeycomb and resin infusion composites, Chris and I had wrapped our head around 1,000 or 2,000 units a year using the UV curable resin. The method we have here downstairs, like we can make a structural resin infused part cured in 2 or 3 minutes. So it's very fast, but it's still an order of magnitude more work and labor than the carbon fiber SMC. And when we started taking pre-orders for the vehicle, we thought we would have a couple of hundred, and we got a few thousand in a few weeks. And so we realized that the way we were thinking about building this vehicle just would not work. We had to go find a better way to build a vehicle at scale. And we did. And that's how we found CPC. Alkosh introduced us to them. But that's it's an example of as soon as we were able to share information about that relationship, we did. But there was a time we first met them, and we were seeing if we could work together, and didn't really know if we had a deal together or not, that we just couldn't talk about it.
Right. Yeah, no, that was a really exciting time. There's a lot of excitement going on right now at Aptera right now, I'd say. I mean, stuff is really going on everywhere in every zone. It's pretty nuts. I mean, you're probably stupid busy, aren't you, Richard?
Yeah. There's a lot of work to create that progress.
Yes, exactly. That's great. Well, now let's talk about the drivetrain. I mean, people who are watching this video have recently seen the monthly update where we announced the Vitesco EMR3 as our drivetrain for production. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about the EMR3?
Yeah, it's an exciting unit. It includes the DC to AC inverter, the electric motor, and the gearbox, including differential, all in one unit. So there are just 2 cable connections for the DC bus. There's no separate inverter. It has 1 coolant in port, 1 coolant out port. So it is liquid cooled, allowing us to maintain the performance that we need. And really, it's a very tightly integrated package that's very compact and fits, in our unique aerodynamic nose cone. So it's quite an exciting unit. It's 150 kilowatts, 300 Newton meters. We are able to maintain a high level of performance that I think will generate the excitement that our drivers are looking for. And I'm just really excited with the integration that we're doing to make this part of our vehicle.
That's great.
Yeah, we, as folks know the PI builds, we're building that first vehicle right now, the Mercury, which is PI2. So I think by naming it Mercury, we unleashed a torrent of either astronautic theme and Greek god theme names, for the rest of the project. Artemis, Hermes, etc., Gemini. But we hope to demonstrate that, by mid-August is our target. And driving around, I think we have a very, very, very limited specification, that we've given the engineering team. So this first driving Bink is not going to be a fast vehicle or track vehicle. It will be in a few months after that, but we hope to demonstrate that very soon.
Yeah, that's super exciting. It's fun to see all the integration work going on downstairs with the motor. Really cool. Well, let's for a minute talk about when this change started happening behind the scenes. And a lot of people are wondering, like, did this delay did we have to modify the CPC parts? Did this delay the suspension? Like, what changes went about with introducing the EMR3? And is it going to further delay production, or is it actually going to potentially bring production forward?
The short answer is, we're still on track with making the first, I'd say, production intent units in 2025. So it did cause us to redesign some of the chassis and frame, obviously, to package this motor. In-wheel motors are simpler to package, and that's one of the attractions about them,
Right.
Amongst other things. But for us, there were just a couple of factors that made, we're developing so much from scratch, right? We have this zonal architecture system. We have a mountain of software to write. We have a new carbon SMC body, and of course, new solar panels that couldn't be made before we developed the IP to make them.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of new stuff that we're doing. And at some point, you just have to draw a line and say, look, we can only innovate so much and launch, on time. And so for us to really keep to the launch schedule, we felt just having something more mature initially would be the best for Aptera, the product, shareholders, everybody involved. At the same time, keeping a very clear idea of how in-wheel motors can be used in the all-wheel drive version moving forward. But at launch, we felt this powertrain change was a necessary step to simplify all of the remaining tasks that we had to do in order to launch on time.
Right. And to be clear, this has been, let's say locked in for a while, right? So like the crash simulations that people have seen previously, it's all been with the inboard motor. So
that's right. And you can imagine the changes, that have had to happen because of that, and the increased time and simulations and all the iterations, to get it right, and software. Haven't done the physical testing yet in terms of crash. It's only been software simulation. But those materials are very well modeled. The specific alloys of aluminum, the properties of the carbon SMC. That's another reason to go away from the honeycomb or sandwich core composites. Is they're, like, mathematically speaking, when you look at a sandwich panel, you have discontinuities between each layer, and discontinuities in any endeavor, especially electrical, are difficult to model. And the beauty of SMC is, even though it doesn't have the same strength weight ratio as a high performance sandwich core composite, it can be perfectly modeled in all phases of use, even past beyond yield. And so because of that, we've been able to successfully model this vehicle in terms of, resonant frequency, different modes of vibration, and of course, the crash side impact and front impact.
Right. Yeah, that's great. I mean, one of the things I'm most excited about is the supply chain availability. The EMR3 has been in almost 1 million EVs around the world. So like you were saying, launching with something that's proven that we know we can get in these vehicles is really exciting. I mean, is that exciting for you to work with something that, this is a big tier 1 supplier?
They're a great tier 1 supplier. They can provide a lot of the support that we need to be able to integrate it quickly. And you can just see that it's a top tier team of engineers that are supporting that work. And since it's a mature product that's been in production, we have a really high confidence in its capability, its durability, reliability. So.
Right. Yeah. I can't wait to see PI2 driving around.
I know.
With the Vitesco motor. That's really exciting. Can we talk about, like, engineering as a whole, the process, and how you weigh trade-offs, like how you weigh all these different factors, price, availability. I mean, that must be insane.
Well, I mean, you said it, price and availability. There were and have been lots of powertrain options, including rolling our own and also including, co-developing as we were. All of them take time and money.
Yeah.
And there might be a really sweet unit made by some company, but maybe the NRE, that sort of upfront charge is $20 million, just for the privilege of buying it.
Right.
So those are all factors. Also, country of origin, who the partner is, how are they doing, what other examples you might find that product in. Are you going to be able to get the support? There's so many factors that come into play, in addition to cost and in addition to risk. Risk is an issue. You never can eliminate it, but you certainly want to manage it and minimize it as much as you can. And so, maturity of a particular thing is one way we can do that.
Right. Yeah, totally. Sounds like it's an extremely complicated business.
I mean, if it were easy, I guess everybody were doing it,
Yes.
But
yeah,
it
makes sense.
Anything of value, there's always, I suppose, lots of variables at play. We have to do the best we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's really exciting that we've had kind of another option, a plan, and the ability to execute on it, and to have all that design work already completed by this point. So we're building these PI vehicles with the EMR3 right now.
Yeah, I mean, we have a fully vetted, designed, and simulated, crash-tested solution for in-wheel motors. That frame, subframe, that'll exist. That was done over a year ago.
Yeah.
But the new system that we have was really, had to be tuned for the EMR3. But that's all done. The tuning that we still have to do is, well, you have to make the first castings. And when, CoStat makes the first castings, they're going to find things that they want to change. And we're going to see things that we can't see in the CAD. We're going to say, look, the wrench or the tool fits in the CAD just fine. But when you go to do it in real life, maybe you find your hand can't articulate that way. And so there's always going to be some changes and evolution, the first several hundred vehicles.
Right.
But in terms of the core design, simulation, and strong belief that they can achieve the goals of both vehicle performance, safety, and we can be able to make it within budget, I think we're there.
Yeah, I mean, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, Richard's been he's been a big part of making this happen, though,
He is.
because it's one thing for management to just have an idea and say, oh, well, we're going to use this or do this product. And someone has to tie it all in together, hardware, software, firmware, modeling, everything else. And we're so glad to have Richard back, because without him, that just wouldn't have been able to happen.
Yeah, how's that process been going? What kind of things have you had to be working on to get all of this together?
Oh, we've been working with the electrical systems team to integrate it within the rest of our low voltage and high voltage harness designs. We've been working through procurement of the associated connectors, which can be surprisingly difficult to acquire. And then all of the software work in the vehicle control unit to interact appropriately with the motor system. So they communicate over a protocol called CAN and a controller area network, and that allows us to command specific amounts of torque from the electric drive motor in accordance with what the driver is requesting through the accelerator and brake pedals. So that's all work that is ongoing and will continue for quite some time, really. There's a lot of refinement that continues even beyond achieving basic functionality. And that's where it is.
I mean, there's a certain well-known electric vehicle manufacturer that personally, right, that you have, who gives software updates over the air regularly. And, the vehicle, I think, will always be going through software improvements and sent over the air. So to Richard's point, no one really stops writing that software.
Yeah.
Either fixing bugs or improving it, making it more efficient.
Yep.
Trying to get more range or better drivability. Same with the solar, same with how the solar charger works and the logic when it comes on and off and that kind of thing. So this is going to be an ongoing effort.
Right. Yeah. This the VCU is upgradable over OTA.
Yes, it will be.
Wow, that's going to be cool. Could add new drive modes or features over time.
Yeah, we're very excited for that capability. Yeah.
Man, that's really cool. What would you say? It's a little hard question.
What would you say you do here?
Yeah, what do you do? What do you do? I'm just kidding.
I'm a people person.
What would you say to the community? I think some people feel, left in the dark, like they didn't know about this change. They always wanted an all-wheel drive Aptera. What would you say to those people? I understand their position, but I also understand the position we're in and that we're doing the best thing for Aptera. How would you respond to that?
We've got some of the smartest, most intelligent community members of any car company. I mean, some of these folks have worked on pilot projects for NASA. They're rocket scientists, literally other engineers. They are incredibly intelligent and mindful of all the technical details of the vehicle, which is why they chose Aptera. And I understand that the promise of, or the intrigue of in-wheel motors and all-wheel drive, was a big part of that. And we want people to know that we have made decisions on the design of the vehicle that we believe are going to be best for the vehicle and best for the shareholders, best for everybody in terms of us being able to launch, being able to have something that's reliable and well known, and leaving the door open still for our in-wheel concepts. We're very far down the runway with that whole technology, but we wanted to reduce the risk and simplify the number of moving parts for launch. And so I think what we're saying is let's launch with something that's reliable and well known, and then let's keep the door open for our in-wheel motor use and see where the best fit is. And I think the best fit for us is probably going to be to achieve all-wheel drive with in-wheel in the back and the e-axle unit up front.
Right.
But I want those customers to know that, look, we've made these decisions really with their best interests at heart, making sure that we can deliver them a reliable product, an affordable product, and something that's just going to have the least amount of risk with still extraordinary performance. I guarantee you this vehicle is going to be fast enough to lose your license and end up in jail, if you're so inclined.
Please don't do that.
It's going to be fast enough to need traction control to keep from cooking the tires. But front-wheel drive cars, of course, with the right tires can go just about anywhere, snow and everything else. All-wheel drive is just icing on the cake. Of course, the more wheels you control, the more control you have for the vehicle. So I think that is our end goal for performance. But for the maximum in efficiency and minimize risk and cost and all those things, I think we decided to move to this inboard motor for those reasons. And I hope they understand, because we do value them and their opinions very much. They've helped us guide the product so far, and we hear them. We just want the community to know that we made those decisions with their best interests in mind.
Absolutely. What everyone wants more than anything on planet Earth is to get their Aptera,
Just get it launched, right?
Let's get this thing out there, I think that's something the whole world can rally behind. Once Aptera are on the road, it'll open up a lot of doors for us.
My Greek friend Theo, hi Theo, he corrected me and said it's Apteroi.
Apteroi, really?
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. I'll have to update that everywhere.
Yes.
Well, that's cool. Richard, what are you excited about in the next few months, or let's say the rest of this year?
There's just so many exciting things that we're working on. It's really bringing a lot of the pieces together and verifying them across their interfaces. So we've got all these components coming in for the PI builds, and being able to not only verify their functionality within that boundary, but also their functionality across the boundary between the other components of the system, and prove it all out on the actual vehicle. So I'm super excited to get in the vehicle. I remember stepping into the first Aptera the first time around, and it just felt magical. So being able to do that again, introducing a new drive system into that, and watching that new design come to life.
Yeah.
I think that's what's most exciting to me.
That's cool. Anecdote, when I first met you, we went out in Gamma, and you ripped that thing more than I've ever seen it ripped ever.
Really?
I was in the passenger seat.
You don't have to tell Steve.
Somebody reported that to me.
But you were saying how like it was just so much better
Oh,
than
it was great.
than
Yeah.
you even remembered
Yeah.
Aptera being. So I think that's the continuous cool thing about Aptera is like every prototype or every PI vehicle that we're going to show to the world will just be continuously better. It's not like traditional concept cars where it looks awesome and then you get it and it's terrible. It's like the opposite. It's like it really lives up to what it was designed to be from the beginning.
Well, I mean, when we restarted, if you will, it was with a clean sheet of paper. But of course, we were able to stand on the shoulders of people like Richard and others who built the first one, even after Chris and I left. So, it all comes around, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk more about you driving the vehicle very aggressively. One of the things I'm excited about, we've been, blessed and plagued by the low-cost small battery, the test battery that we put in every vehicle.
Yeah.
When we had basically no budget, that let us build a battery that we could put in the vehicle and drive around. And all the alphas, beta, gamma, they all have the same battery that we built. It's just a very small 10 kilowatt hour pack that's been abused horrifically, doing, I don't even want to say the level of C discharges. But I think the new pack, the production intent module and BMS, even though it's a prototype frame, that pack is going to be what's going into PI2. And so I'm looking forward to getting all the external skins on it and taking it on a long trip.
Yeah.
Something that we can't do with the 10 kilowatt hour packs. So
Yeah, we're going to drive that thing from empty to full?
yes,
Or full to empty?
full to empty. Well, empty to full
Depends
if
on
it's
the
slow
sun.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, slow. Man, that's going to be really exciting. I mean, I think that's what everyone's most excited about is, we're doing range testing, like the solar output, like all this is going to be like validated in the real world.
Yes.
And it's going to be really exciting for people to see.
Moving from the bench and simulations and unit tests to complete vehicle tests
Yeah.
and demonstrations of those claims. So that's what we're excited about.
And that's great. Well, I think, the most important thing is efficiency to market. We all want our Aptera as soon as possible. And it's exciting to be at a company where I think the leaders always make the right decision to get this vehicle into production as soon as possible. So
Well, I hope we make the right.
that.
I mean, we've made some mistakes. Of course, everybody does, and I've made my
Yeah.
fair share. But on this, I think it's the best decision for the company and for the product because we reduce complexity. Just like it wasn't my idea. I think it was Akos and Chris who had the idea of limiting or removing, rather, all of the options for the launch vehicle in just one configuration, right? And so we've read horror stories about other EV startups who were managing containers of different trim color seats and dashes and things like that. And we just didn't want to spend the budget on that or manage that complexity. So by just having one configuration, that radically simplifies as a launch. And I think this change also, although it created a lot of upfront design work in the frame, it does simplify the overall execution, minimize the risk. So I think it was the right decision.
Yeah, I agree. Any closing thoughts, Richard? It's your first time on camera, people seeing you for the first time.
I'm just so excited to be here. The evolution of the product since I left the first time is remarkable. And I'm particularly excited about the development of the mature automotive solar panels that are part of this vehicle now. I just think that's such a neat inclusion in the product. And it looks beautiful. The design is, I think, even better than the first time around, and I was floored the first time around. So, yeah, I'm very grateful to be here, excited to be working with Steve again, and we have a really terrific team. Everybody's pushing to get your Apteras as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'm excited to be working with you again, Richard, and I'm also looking forward to not having to fight my wife and daughter over the two chargers in our house. We have 3 EVs and 2 chargers, so it's always musical chargers. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about not having to do that. So
Oh, yeah. Me too. I'm just excited to get my solar future.
that's right.
Cool. Well, that was the Third Wheel Podcast. If you
First
enjoyed
one.
it, leave a like, subscribe to the Aptera YouTube channel, and if you guys really like it, we'll do more. If you hated it, we won't. So hopefully you love it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See you later.